everyone, it's Natalia, and I love making nails for my friends, but today I'm making nails for myself because I've got naked little fingers. So today we're going to be making my left hand a set of nails. I've already actually made the set for the right hand, so we're going to be matching the two. They're going to be Ateez themed. So on my left hand here, we have a Songwa themed set that we're going to make a matching hand for with Hongjoong. So let's go. So we're going to start by shaping these nails. These are medium almonds, but I really prefer a rounder top to my nails instead of, these are a little too pointy for me. So I will be shaping these out into more of like a hybrid oval almond situation. You just take your file and you can file out the top. So this gets rid of, usually nail tips will have like sort of a little nub from where they originally were on the form when it was made. So you want to file that off. And then I just, as I said, I'm just rounding everything out. So I really got into making nails for myself and eventually my friends because of my nails themselves. I have really severe psoriasis that I've had my entire life, and it not only affects my skin, it also affects my nails. So they're very thin and brittle, and they tend to have like lines and pits in them, and they'll sometimes like separate a little from the nail plate, and so they looked incredibly ugly my whole life. And so that really bummed me out. So I started making press-on nails to basically feel better about the situation that was going on my nails. And yeah. So we're now going to prep the tips for gel by buffing them out. You want to buff out any shine off of your nails before starting. And since these are soft gel nails, we won't need a base coat or anything. So we can go straight in with just the gel color because it will meld with the material of the extension, which is great. So that's what we're doing here. Buffing away. I use Abacol tip gel to adhere my tips to the top of the nail stands, but you can use, putty or double-sided tape, whatever. I'm now using 99% alcohol to wipe down these nails. This bottle I'm using from the dollar store, where I buy all of my rubbing alcohol, was originally a 70%, but I've been filling it with just 99%. So that's why I hand wrote 99 on the label to remind myself. And we are now prepped and ready for gel. But before we get to actual painting, I'm going to put on some nitrile gloves. I do recommend, if you are doing home, nails, to wear gloves to prevent gel allergies. So today, we're going to be doing kind of an asymmetrical design with these. I don't like doing exactly the same on both hands, so it's going to be the same design but on different fingers. And we're going to be starting with the thumb, which we're going in with a pastel turquoise. All the pastel gels I'm using today are from the Jello Bubbly collection, which I'm a huge fan of. I think they're beautiful colors. And this is the turquoisey color, which I believe is called Cotton Mint, JC74. It has really good, these Jello cream gels have like really good sort of a texture to them, and they self-level beautifully. Now we're going to be doing 2 coats, though probably we could have gotten away with 1, but I like to do 2 just to be safe. So cure the first coat and go in with the second. So once we've got that ready to go, we're going to be wiping it down with alcohol because the thumb we're going to be putting a water slide decal on. I use water slide decals a lot when I'm doing nails, mostly because I'm making fandom nails and I'm not much of a photorealistic nail painter. And I've also linked a very detailed blog post of how I make my decals. That'll be linked in the description if you want a step-by-step from making it in Photoshop to printing to cutting to everything. I've got the whole shebang. So we've dunked that, and now we're gonna very carefully slide it off the back and right onto the nail. These are white water slide decals so that they have like a solid white backing. So they come in transparent or white, but I mostly use the white ones because I don't want to make all my nails have to be white on the background. So be very gentle but somewhat firm when patting these down. You want to like get as many of the wrinkles, like avoid them as much as possible, and you really want to seal it around the tip of the nail. And then you're going to take a file and you're going to file off whatever overhangs. And just like when you're doing chrome on nails, you want to file it so that there's a little bit of just a minuscule gap at the edge of the nail from where the decal ends and the end of the nail is, because you want the base gel that you're going to put on top of it to seal to gel. Otherwise, you risk lifting the decal. So that's what we're going to be doing now. I've got this like really cheapo, super thin base coat that I got on Amazon like a year and a half ago. And it works well enough for what we're doing, which is just using it as sort of like a layer to seal in the decal so it doesn't lift up. We will also be putting a top coat at the end, but when you're sealing this in, make sure to go around all the edges very carefully so that it is fully sealed. We don't want any sort of like moisture or anything to catch on this and possibly ruin the decal while you're wearing it. So seal it really nicely and then put it in for a full cure. Okay, now we're going to add some little designs. First up, we're going to be picking a yellow to do the happy face design that we've got here. So this is from the same collection, JC73. It's like a super bright, like lemony yellow. I really, really think it's very nice. Now you're going to take a liner brush. Oh, we're also going to be using more of the turquoise to do the eyes and the mouth so that it's a cutout on the background. And then we're also going to be adding some dots and stars. So we're going to be doing the stars in white, which I'm just using some Born Pretty Pure White. And we're going to be using, I believe, some blue here. Yeah, some sort of like a purpley periwinkle blue from the collection. JC75 here. So I have my liner brush. It's the Mayo Korea liner brush, but any liner brush will do. And we're going to start by putting sort of the circle of the happy face. It's not going to be a full circle because it's going to be kind of hanging off the edge because I thought that would look nice. So we're just going to be doing that. Now, I am kind of bad at painting circles, I've discovered. So doing my own nails like this, where I do paint lots of circles and do tiny little details that I'm not super confident at, is kind of a really great way to get better at things. And I think genuinely after doing this set of nails, I have become better at drawing circles. Now, I think in the future, if I were to remake this set, I would probably want to pick up some like yellow gel paint that would be a little easier to work with because that's sort of made to do this sort of nail art, but you work with what you have. So, and what I had was this Jello beautiful nail polish, nail gel, and it looks really nice. So you want to cure that, and then we're going to go in with, we're going to add some little dots in the bluish purple periwinkle color Obviously, when you're making this, you can make it in whatever colors you desire. So then we're going to go in with the same as the base color, this sort of turquoise gel, and we're going to be doing the smiley face and the eyes on the face because I wanted it to kind of look like it was a cutout, you know, like the eyes and the mouth are cut out and showing the background color. That was my idea on this one. And then with the white gel, we're going to be putting some little stars on, but they're kind of like cheater stars. They're literally just little crosses, little T's. And from far away, like mixed with the little dots, it looks very cute. These little stars. It looks very nice. Just put them where you think would look good on the nail. Easy peasy. So now we're going to move on to the index finger. We're going to be doing it like the middle finger on the left or the right hand. And we're going to be doing it in this bright pink from Yogurt Nail Korea. So it's number 18. The link is down below in the description. It is such a nice, like, hot pink that's not quite fluorescent, you know? Like, I love this pink. I think it's so fun and it works so nicely with the pastel colors. The Jello Gel collection does come with like a peachy pastel pink, but I really thought that the super bright pink would look very nice in this. So we're going to cure that and we're going to do a second coat on this. So I've seen Ateez in concert once. I was supposed to have seen them twice because I had tickets to one of their shows in 2020 that got canceled due to the pandemic. But last summer, I did get to go with my friend Nicole, who I make nails for, to see them in Toronto, and it was so fun. The show was so wild. We're adding the bright pink to the palette because we're going to need it for the face. They were incredible live. So good. So we're going to take the yellow and yet again, just like in the last one, we're going to be doing a smiley face. But this one I've decided to do a full on the nail one. So I'm really working on my ability to draw circles, which, as I said, it's not the best. But the only way you can get better at something is by practicing. So here I am practicing. It's kind of funny, like, now thinking about Ateez, because, like, my bias isn't Songhwa or Hongjoong. It's actually, I'm Mingy biased, you know, and that's cool. Welcome, Mingles out there. But I had originally made a similar set like this for one of my friends who is Songhwa biased and loves mattes, which is the name of the pairing of Songhwa and Hongjoong. We're going to cure that. Then we're going to do the face. And so I had like these extra decals because I always print 2 copies of every set of decals I make just in case I mess up. And so I was like, you know what? I want this same set of nails. And so I am making them. And we've got that little face on there. Looking pretty good. We're going to have to add the dots and the stars. And I wanted to do them in the purple, so we're adding this purple Jello from the same collection. I have 2 Jello collections, and I love them. I have this one, and then I have like a syrup collection of theirs, like a jelly syrup collection. My only problem is the bottles are too big to fit on my little nail polish shelves that I have on my wall, and so they have to like live in a little wheelie cart next to my desk, but it's fine. So we did the dots with that. We're doing the same little cheater stars that I like to do that are just little crosses, but they look cute from far away in white. And then we're going to cure that. And that's going to be that finger done. All right, send that in to cure because we are on to the middle finger. Now the middle finger is going to be the most time-consuming one because we're going to be putting the photocard on it. And we're going to be using a kind of couple unusual tools. But this first one is just a heart-shaped silicone mold. This is totally optional. You could just paint the little heart on, but I wanted it to be 3D. So I'm just putting a thin layer of the bright pink yogurt Korea gel into the smallest little heart on the mold. And I'm going to cure this in layers. When you're using these silicone molds, you really don't want to make it too thick. Otherwise, the middle of it will not cure. And then you'll just have sort of a little balloon of uncured gel hanging out on your nail. So I'm using my pin cure light to cure it from the top. And the thing about these clear silicone molds is you can also cure them from the bottom after you're done. And so we're putting a second layer, and I'm going around like on the inside of it so that all of the edges of the mold are covered, because then I can just put clear gel in the middle and fill out the middle with clear gel, and then I don't have to worry about the curing of it because clear gel you can cure because the light can penetrate it. So that's what we're doing here. We're just filling out the edges, and we're going to wipe off any that got on the outside. And then we're going to cure it again with my little individual light. And then I'm just going to put some of that little thin base coat to fill up the rest of the mold, and then cure it again. And that's basically how you make these 3D molds. You just do layer by layer, color by color, curing all the time. It is a little time consuming, but it is nice being able to make your own charms and things. It's instead of having to wait for any that you order to arrive. So now we are going to be using a roll of packing tape in a sort of unusual fashion. We're going to be taking the pastel purple, the JC75, and we're going to be just painting a like rectangle shape on the packing tape near the end of the roll. The reason we're doing this is because I can make a base for the photocard that can be easily peeled off of the packing tape. So you're going to fully cure it, and then we're going to do a second layer with the gel because we want it to be like, it doesn't need to be super thick, but you need to have like a solid enough base that it'll stand on its own. So we're putting a second layer of the purple, and I'm trying to make it sort of as smooth as possible. You want to just make sure that your decal, your rectangular photocard decal, that you're making this square bigger than that is the important part. And for the final layer, we're going to put on a layer of the base coat again, just for a third layer to adhere the decal to. And then you're going to cure that. I've sped up the curing time. It takes longer than it does in this video. Then you're going to peel up the tape. And just to be safe, we're going to cure it from the back as well. And then that will lift right off of that packing tape. It'll peel right off perfectly and have a nice base for your decal. Look at this, pops right off. So I'm going to stick that onto a little nail stand to finish it. So we're going to be taking our photocard decal, this cute little Hongjoong decal, and we're going to do the exact same thing as we did for the thumb, where you just dunk it in the water for about 10-15 seconds. I remove it and then dab off any liquid remaining on the front. And then you're just going to slide it off the paper and put it in the center of the square you've made. It doesn't need to be perfectly like straight or centered because we're going to be cutting off the excess anyway. You just have to make sure you have edges left around it to remove. Then you're going to seal it in with some base coat. And then cure it. Okay, next we're going to take some scissors and we are going to cut off the edges. I realized here that I put it too close to the end of the nail stand, so I had to move it. As you can see, it's very easy to peel off and put back on. And just cut off the little edges. I also then realized that I meant to sort of square off the edges so they're not pointy, which I forgot to do. And I'm about to go in with the next step, and then I realized, oh wait, we're using the purple gel, and I'm about to do this, and I realized, oh, I meant to square off. Then I go off camera because I'm new at this, and then I realized, oh wait, I'm off camera. Come back. It's classic. I will get better at this as time goes on, I think. So we're gonna square off the little corners, and then we are going to do a border in the purple. Doing these sorts of little things will really help with working on doing straight lines, because that's, I'm not perfect at that either. No one is. But every little thing that you do to keep improving at anything you do is not time wasted. And as I'm doing this, I messed up. You'll see, oh, yep. The straight line went away. So I've grabbed, I have these little like Q-tip toothpicks. They're like toothpicks, but they have a little bit of cotton at the end. And I just dabbed it in a little bit of alcohol and just swoop, wipe that away. And there we go. Now we're going to finish doing the edges in the purple. So it's like it's in a little photo card holder. And then we want to fully cure this. Okay. Next, we're going to take our little heart out of the mold because it's time to stick it to the photo card. Now, I would recommend using rhinestone glue for this, but I am out and haven't ordered any, so I'm just using top coat. I'm using the Jinbei Crazy Top, where I'm just taking a dab with a dotting tool, sticking it on the corner where I'm going to adhere the heart, and then we're going to stick the heart on. It's at this point where I realize I've got like a little cat hair stuck to there. I have a long-haired cat, so I have cat hair stuck to everything. So I would definitely make sure to remove any of that before, if you all too have a cat who sheds all over the place, before flash curing it into place. And then you can stick it under the lamp to fully cure while we continue on the nail. We're going to do the base coat of the middle nail in the turquoise. We're going to do, just as always, we're going to do 2 coats. I wore this set out. I'm recording this audio in the future, but I wore this set out, and then I went to the coffee shop that my husband and I go to all the time, and my favorite barista, when I finished, said, "Oh my God, your nails are insane." And I rode that high for the rest of the week. Let me tell you, I was pumped that someone complimented my nails, because there's nothing nicer than like a cool woman complimenting your nails. And my barista is a cool lady, let me be honest. So we're doing the second coat, fully curing between 2 coats. And now it's time to add the little dots and the little stars. So since we're going to be putting the photo card in the pretty much direct center of this, these little sort of dots and T-stars that you're adding, just do them around the edges. You don't need to put any in the middle because it's going to be covered anyway. So just put a couple, I've used pink, so a couple little pink dots, a couple little white stars, and send that in for a full cure. Okay, now it's time to stick the photocard on. We're going to be using the Jinbei Crazy Top instead of rhinestone glue, even though I do recommend using rhinestone glue. But as I said, I'm out and haven't ordered any more. And this works fine. It's just not as easy to stick things down without them sliding around a bit. So pick up that photocard and stick it on. You can then zhuzh it around into the position that you want. So on the right hand, the Songwa hand, I had it turned more than I ended up turning this one. And this one was a better choice, having it more sort of less akimbo to the nail. Mostly because the one on my right hand, it would get sort of knocked against the other nails. But you want to fully cure that. And we're moving on to the ring finger, which is going to be the nail with the little Ateez charm. So these were kind of the inspo to redoing these, is that I had randomly found on AliExpress these Ateez charms and ordered them and was like, now what do I do with them? So the answer was make these nails. So the base of this is going to be the purple, the pastel purple. And so we're going to be doing 2 coats of that, curing well between each coat. Get that second coat on there, which again, it would have probably been fine with 1, but I always like putting 2 if I'm doing like a solid color, just in case. Just in case there's like a little part that's a little thinner than the rest. Just make sure that everything's nice and opaque. So while that is cured, we're going to actually set it aside because we need to prep this charm, because these charms are flat backed. And they're kind of like on the bigger side. So they do sort of stick out a bit. So I like to file the backs with my e-file. This is totally optional. I just prefer to do it. So I have this little Melody Susie file, and I am now putting on a mask. Please wear a mask if you are going to file the back of charms of plastic with an e-file. You don't want to be inhaling plastic dust. So I'm using this little ceramic barrel bit, which I know this is not what it's meant for, but this is all I use it for. So we're going to turn on our little drill, and then we are going to about 10, 11, 13. It doesn't need to be super fast. And then we are going to just file out a little indent, a little rounded indent in the back of the nail, so it'll fit a little bit more flush on the nail. I do this with most plastic charms if they're like fully opaque. And you don't have to do a lot, just a little bit. You're just going to you just want it to be slightly more flush to the nail. Wipe off the back with alcohol before you put it on, otherwise the dust will impede the stick. And then we are ready to continue making this nail. Okay. So as with the other nails, it is now time to put on the little decor around it. So we're going to be doing the smiley face, the dots, and the little stars. So we're going to be putting the yellow circle up here in the corner for sort of off the edge smiley face. There's something very relaxing about doing nails that are a little bit repetitive. Like, you really get into the groove. So send that off to a cure. And then we're going to come in with the purple to do the mouth and the eyes. Just Just doing a quick cure so I don't smudge it. A little flash cure there. And then I'm going to be going in with the pink to do the little dots. I just find like a little smattering of little dots just really adds to the vibe. And then cleaning off my brush, going in with the white and doing my couple little cheater stars. Again, just like with the middle finger here, you can focus them mostly around the edges because the charm is going to take up a lot of the middle of the nail. So fully cure that, and now it's time to stick this on with my fake rhinestone glue yet again. I just dip it in, sort of wipe off a little bit of the excess, and stick it on the nail, and then flash cure it into place. There was a bit of spillover, and so you can just smooth it out with a liner, with the clean liner brush, just so that, you know, it doesn't form like another little lump. But usually when you put the top coat on, it'll smooth it out anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much. So fully cure that, and let's go on to the pinky. We're going to be doing it in the bright pink. And we're going to be, as with always, 2 coats of the bright pink. So I've, you know, just talking about Ateez, I've been a big fan of Ateez probably since the Say My Name comeback, which I believe was either their first comeback. And my friend Sky was the one who put me onto them. She liked them pre-debut because she had seen them. They had done like a really early American tour, like before they even had any sort of real recognition. And she had seen them live, and she was like, oh, you guys, you're gonna love this. And then when they did the Say My Name comeback, they had like a big steampunk vibe to their styling, and I love a good steampunk moment. So she was like, oh, she's like, not only are you gonna love sort of the styling of this comeback, I think you're gonna actually really like this music. And she was 100% correct. They got me immediately, and I have been down to clown with them ever since. I just think they're fantastic, very talented, and my goodness, their music. I love a group that really commits to a bit of a bit. And and by bit, I mean like their lore, their very elaborate lore backstory really appeals to me. And their music is just absolutely fantastic. So I am, you know, more than happy to wear them on my nails, you know, because I like displaying things that I like, you know, things that bring me joy, and nails and Ateez both bring me joy. So it's a sort of an easy sell to make Ateez themed nails. We're finishing up the little smiley face here, doing a little quick flash cure so I don't smudge it while I continue. And we're going to go in with the turquoise to make the little dots, and then yet again the white to make the little fake stars. If you mess up like I do here, just take a Q-tip, dip her in some alcohol, wipe away what you messed up, and do it again. Cure that, and we are on to top coating. I'm going to actually start with the middle finger with the top coat because we want to sort of reinforce underneath the Photocard charm that we made so that it doesn't get snagged or caught in things, because that could possibly, you know, rip the nail off, damage your nails. So we want to prevent that as much as possible. So we're going to be putting we're going to sort of double layer the top coat. We're going to be putting it all around the edges so that it seals in any of the gaps as the first layer. The standard works really well for this. There is also a Jinbei Crazy Top Soft, which is a lot thinner, but I find the standard works for most top coating situations. Especially if it really evens out quite nicely. It smooths everything. So we're holding it upside down so that everything sort of flows underneath. And then we're going to flash cure all of this. We're going to cure. And then we are going to do a second layer that will now cover the rest of the nail and the top of the photo card. I wore these for a week with absolutely no problems. They did not get caught in most anything. The right hand photo card did get caught in my hair once, but not majorly. I didn't even rip out any hair. It just sort of like snagged slightly, and then I just sort of backed up what I was doing. But this one that I put more like sort of up and down on the nail, it didn't catch on anything. I had absolutely no issues wearing these. I went to work with them. I did dishes with them. I cleaned with them, like no problems. So now we're just going to cover all the other nails, being very careful, especially on the ones with decals, to go over where the decal edge meets so that it is fully encapsulated so that it does not lift, which they did not. The nice part about the standard is like it's a little bit on the thicker side, but not like too thick, so that it really like smooths everything out because it self-levels so nicely that everything gets so nicely smooth. I just love it. I love the Crazy Top. I literally use it with every single set I do if it's glossy. When you have like these plastic charms, this is another tip, is always do the top of them. Like I know some charms you don't have to top coat the top of, but with these ones, especially like the ones that have like painted plastic, definitely top coat over the top, because repeated wear can actually just wear the plastic away, so like the paint away, so it's an extra layer to keep them looking nice. So do the last nail here. And what I like to do after I finish top coating is that I will hold the nails upside down, usually for about 15 to 20 seconds, because any gel that is pooled towards the edges will slowly level out towards the apex of the nail. And so it'll make like a less bulky looking, nicer, less wide looking nail. And then stick it under for a full cure. And that is it. These nails are very cute. I got a lot of compliments. They were easy, comfy to wear, easy to make. I recommend them. I'm sure you can make them in whatever color scheme you like, with whatever idols you enjoy. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic week and enjoyed this video. Please leave me a like and a comment if you like. Maybe subscribe if you like it. Thank you. I'll be back next week with a new video. Okay. Bye-bye.